Good morning. This is Father Stephen Kelly from St. John's Church in Detroit. And we're continuing our series of daily morning meditations where we generally look at one or another of the lessons that are assigned for morning or evening prayer, what is known as the daily office lectionary. Today for Thursday, let's take a look at the lessons assigned for evening prayer. We're continuing our way through St. Peter's first epistle. We're on chapter 2, beginning at verse 11. Dearly beloved, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts, which war against the soul, having your conversation honest among the Gentiles, that whereas they speak against you as evildoers, ye might by your good works, which they shall behold, glorify God in the day of visitation. Submit yourselves to every ordinance of man for the Lord's sake, whether it be to the king as supreme, or unto governors, as unto them that are sent by him for the punishment of evildoers, and for the praise of them that do well. For so is the will of God, that with well-doing you may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men. As free, and not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness, but as servants of God, honor all men, love the brotherhood, fear God, honor the king. Okay, so let's start out first of all. Peter, in this beginning of this particular reading, talks about that we must abstain from fleshly lusts, right? The world is definitely one that is driven by passions. We can have a passion for good and a passion for the things that are positive, but those physical passions and those passions for self-satisfaction, that sort of stuff, it becomes a canker sore. It becomes a cancer to us. And so he says we must abstain from these fleshly lusts because it wars against your soul, right? You end up being a slave to your passions. But then he goes on to say, look, in dealing with the Gentiles, in dealing with the world around us, they're going to say all sorts of evil and wicked things about you. But you know what? You need to glorify God. You need to do everything positive, have an honest conversation so that they don't have any evidence against you as in fact being evil. And in fact, he goes on to say that we should submit ourselves to the laws of the land, right? Even if it's run by pagans and governors, because they are sent to punish evildoers, right? They punish murderers. Now, and goes on to say that even though we have freedom, we can't use it in order to get over and to do things that are in fact wicked. But this last line, honor all men, right? It's a respect for other people's dignities and for those who are placed in some sort of position of authority over you. Love the brotherhood, right? Those who are within the church, love them. Fear God. I hope that's a given. And honor the king. And of course, we know ultimately Peter will be put to death by the secular authorities for being a follower of Jesus. But when it comes to secular things, Christians are put under secular authority. It doesn't mean that we aren't to speak out against evil or injustice. It doesn't mean that we are not to vote in a way, thank God in our country that we get to vote, but we get to vote in a way that upholds godliness rather than evil, and the opportunity to replace governments if we feel that it's necessary. Those are all positive things. So we don't have a king in that sense, like Peter is talking about here. But this idea that we are going to be people who are going to be surrounded by the world, and we need to work with the world in whatever way is possible to uplift the gospel, right? Now, of course, we'd have to stand against things that are ungodly, even to the point of giving up our physical bodies to death, right, to be martyred for that truth. But when it comes to the regular old secular things that don't have that moral twist, we are a part of that. So there it is. Today's Thursday. Today we have Mass at 9 a.m. rather than 10:30 because there's a daytime Tigers game. So in the summertime, we're going to be moving some of our Thursdays to 9 a.m. So 9 a.m. today. And you can follow us on the live stream with that one. And may God grant us a Thursday that is full of blessings.